What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Unpopular Opinion, and today I'm gonna find out if you're feeling lucky, punk, because we are going to be ranking the Dirty Harry movies from worst to best. Now, guys, before we get into the video, I just want to humbly ask that you like it, subscribe to my channel. Remember, costs you nothing to do so. It's totally free, and one like goes a long way to really help me out. Also, my Instagram will be linked in the description below. I would really appreciate it if you give me a follow there and check me out. But I digress. Let's just get right into the list. Number 5, we have the Deadpool.
You're shit out of luck.
Guys, the Deadpool is the 5th and final entry into the Dirty Harry franchise. And it's not a bad movie. I wouldn't call it horrible. It's just not that good. A couple things that I take issue with in the movie is, well, for one, it's kind of cartoonish and it has a few silly, goofy moments. One such moment would be the remote control car that had an explosive on it, and then that goofy car chase. Or when Harry kills the main villain with the harpoon, which that was kind of cool, but undeniably that's pretty silly, let's be honest here.
You're shit out of luck.
Not to mention the main villain. I don't know, I didn't really think he was a good villain because basically he was a mentally ill, disgruntled screenwriter who has a grudge against Liam Neeson's character. He wasn't a formidable foe, and I didn't really like it that much. Not to mention, guys, I mean, Clint Eastwood has aged significantly, and it's almost like he's not really the same anymore. It's kind of distracting, his age. I'm not going to deny that's where I'm coming from. It's like they try way too hard to make him as tough or as macho and manly as possible by making him go a little over the top. Like one such scene was he was in the jail with the mob boss and he was strong-arming him, or when he takes the camera and smashes it. I just thought there's beauty in simplicity. You don't have to go over the top like that to prove that Clint Eastwood's character is really tough. Not to mention, I didn't really care for the relationship between Harry and that reporter. I know it wasn't confirmed, but they were indirectly like they were getting together. Didn't really care for that. And, you know, the action wasn't great. And the final showdown, didn't really like it that much. So overall, not a bad movie. There are some cool things about it. A solid Jim Carrey performance, an early Jim Carrey performance.
I'm gonna f up my film. I said I can handle it!
There were some pretty cool lines. I guess the concept of the Deadpool is kind of cool. You know, the idea that someone makes a Deadpool, and a Deadpool is like betting on who's gonna die within the year, and if your list is the closest, you win. And then there's a serial killer who's knocking everyone off on the list. If done better, if the execution was better, that would have been cool. But overall, I'm not really thrilled with the Deadpool. Number 4 is The Enforcer. Guys, The Enforcer is the 3rd Dirty Harry movie, and at this time in the series, it's undeniable that its momentum has began to slow down significantly. Now, this movie, again, much like the Deadpool, it's not a bad movie, it's not terrible, it's okay, nothing grand, because the plot of this film is there's a phony terrorist group, and I only say phony because they're not really terrorists, they're just criminals who are trying to extort the city of San Francisco for money, but they are able to raid an arsenal and get military-grade weapons, so they get automatic rifles and they get literally rocket launchers. And the thing about this movie is there's not really a lot of action in it. Dirty Harry doesn't use his Magnum that much, which was kind of disappointing. It's like the coolest thing about him is Smith & Wesson Model 29. It's super cool. He doesn't really use it that much in this movie. And not for naught, there's not a lot of high stakes or high tension in this film. It's not like Harry is up against the time, he's up against the clock. That's not really the case. He doesn't have to do a lot of detective work because for the most part, the killers, they barricade themselves on Alcatraz, and it's just, okay, there they are. I just gotta go get them. Usually in the Dirty Harry movies, there's a lot more police, inspector, detective work going on, and, well, this movie doesn't really have that much. And not for naught, it's not as gritty or as action-y as the other ones are, and there are times where it's a very slow-paced, boring film. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some really iconic quotes and cool bit of dialogue in this movie, namely the scene where the mayor is about to give Harry and his partner a medal for a bust that he had nothing to do with. And then he was telling the mayor, I wasn't even there, and the mayor's talking to the cop, like, I was like, what's he talking about? And then he's like, you've got yourself a 180-day suspension, give me a star. And he's like, shove it up your ass. That was a really cool part.
There's a 7-point suppository, Captain.
What did you say?
I said stick it in your ass.
And then not for naught, I actually found it interesting, the dynamic between Harry and his partner. So in this movie, Harry gets a female partner, And, well, it just goes to show you that DEI was a thing even in the 70s. Because Harry was on a panel of hiring officers who were interviewing inspectors or potential inspector candidates. And under the mayor's new guidelines, he wanted to, quote unquote, broaden the criteria to include women so they can have a chance.
Broaden the areas of participation for women.
Sounds very stylish.
So basically, his new partner is an inexperienced woman who hasn't made an actual arrest yet, and she's underqualified and has at a massive physical disadvantage.
About your most important felony arrest.
I've never made a felony arrest.
Well, maybe you'll tell us about your best misdemeanor arrest.
But nevertheless, their dynamic was actually pretty interesting. She contributed to a lot of pretty cool sequences, and she did actually save Harry in the end, and she died, unfortunately. You know, DEI and the mayor's guidelines and diversity quotas got her killed. She wasn't up for the job, but she did save Harry, and I really liked the conflict and the dynamics between the two, and he eventually came to respect her, which I thought was pretty cool. It's like the old trope in every Clint Eastwood movie. Harry's, or not just Harry, but Clint Eastwood in every film for the most part, his arc is, oh, I'm a bigot, but I've come to appreciate minorities, women, or gays, and then in the end, I can respect them, but in the beginning, I'm just a bigot. And I found that really funny. And not for not, the ending battle at Alcatraz, that wasn't really that exciting, that really wasn't that good, but the way it ended was awesome because Harry took the rocket and blew the guy up, which was so cool. But again, I gotta say, movie, it's okay, not that good, and the direction in it was kind of stale. Nothing really exciting is going on in this movie. Okay, number 3 is Sudden Impact. Guys, Sudden Impact is the 4:30 Harry movie. And guys, this is a good movie. Not perfect. There are some things that bother me, but it is a good movie. It's pretty entertaining and pretty enjoyable. So in this film, Harry is investigating murders, and he's sent to another town. He's no longer in San Francisco. And while he's investigating these murders, he comes to find out that, well, there's some nuance to it, because these murders he's investigating there's this woman who was, the word's banned on YouTube, but it rhymes with grape, so she was raped by a creepy gang of degenerates, and she's getting revenge because her sister has been traumatized to the brink of being catatonic, so she's hunting him down and killing him and taking justice into her own hands, and Harry gets involved with it. Now, one thing that I don't really like about this movie is, well, Sandra Locke, I'm not really a big fan of Sandra Locke, and I understand that her and Clint Eastwood have been together in a few movies, and some of their movies work, some of them, the dynamic, not really there. This one is one of those where the dynamic between the two is not really there. I think mainly because, well, we don't really know who our villain is until really late in the movie, and it's not a twist ending, it's more so, well, if she's doing these murders for honestly a justifiable reason, is she really the villain? And then our main villain turns out to be some, like, creepy porn mustache creeper dude named Mick, who doesn't really provide much opposition to Harry at all throughout the movie. Like the gang of creepers who she's still hunting down. And the thing is, I don't think this plot really works well for a Dirty Harry movie. And funny enough, it wasn't supposed to be a Dirty Harry movie. This was supposed to be another standalone movie with Sandra Locke. It was supposed to be a similar premise. A woman is getting revenge on the people who molested her, and the studio said to Sandra Locke, well, you've aged. You're no longer within the age bracket of the leading lady status, so you're dating Clint Eastwood. Let's just make it into a Dirty Harry movie. And then that's where this came from. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about the things I really do love about this movie. Guys, this movie has one of, if not the most iconic movie line of all time.
He lost his balls. He got killed.
I'm kidding. Not that line, but it's this line.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Guys, Go Ahead, Make My Day is one of the most iconic movie lines of all time. It is the line that Clint Eastwood is known for throughout the universe. That's even on his, like, handprint cement things at that Chinese theater, like, Make My Day. And this movie does have actually good action in this film. So the opening shootout when Harry shoots those punks in the coffee shop, that was so awesome. I love the scene where he's in the bar and that woman tries to slap him and he's all like, only with humans.
Wanna buy me a drink?
Not today.
Come on, sailor. You might get lucky.
Only with humans.
And then he just deflects her slap and kicks her to the ground. That was pretty awesome. Or when he goes to the fish market, I love that scene.
Why don't you boys go suck some fish heads, huh?
And then there was even a cool element that Harry is up for assassination by the mob because he induced a heart attack from one of a high-profile mafia men, and then all these hitmen are coming after him, so he's like, all right, take a vacation, go somewhere else, solve this murder because you're in for some trouble. So that shootout where he's hiding in the garbage can was pretty cool. I even really liked the scene where him and his friend are practicing their guns. That's pretty awesome. And then the boardwalk finale. So the boardwalk finale was pretty awesome. At this point, Clint Eastwood had already encountered these bad guys, these grapists, and he beat a couple of them up and arrested a few, but then when they're on bail, they attack him and they jump him and they beat the crap out of him. So they beat him up and they throw him off the boardwalk and they take his Smith & Wesson Model 29 and throw it into the water. So he's properly disarmed and he's down, but he's not out. And like every great Clint Eastwood movie, this is the trope of a lot of great Clint Eastwood films. The bad guys beat him up mercilessly and almost kill him, but then he comes back, he recovers, and then he wipes them out. So Sandra Locke's character is attacked by these guys and it's almost like history's about to repeat itself. And when the moment seems really bleak, Harry's there. And then you see that silhouette outline.
Holy
That just proves that not only Clint Eastwood is an amazing actor, he's also an amazing director because he directed this movie and the direction was phenomenal. And he has a 44 auto mag and he just walks down the boardwalk and it's all flawless. And then he's just like bang, 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 bang. And even though it wasn't like a flashy, action-y climax, it just goes to show you there's beauty in simplicity because you don't need to have an epic shootout for a great climax. All you really need sometimes is a pretty awesome intro, pretty sharp dialogue, tension, and yeah, this wasn't a shootout, but it's Harry just taking out the guy in the end, and that was pretty awesome. So yeah, I like Sudden Impact. It's pretty good, and it made my day. Number 2 is Dirty Harry. Guys, the first movie in the series is a very good and very solid entry into the franchise. It establishes the character of Dirty Harry very well.
Now you know why they call me Dirty Harry. Every dirty job that comes along.
And honestly, I mean, the political message of it actually makes a lot of sense if you really get down to the meat and bones. So firstly, let's establish why I think this movie is great for establishing Harry the way he is. So we know that Harry is a very brutal cop. He's a very no-nonsense, but he's also kind of a cowboy cop, a loose cannon cop. Where if he can, he's gonna kill you. Pure and simple.
Adult male is chasing a female with intent to commit rape. I shoot the bastard.
If someone crosses him and he can get away with it and he can justify lethal force, he'll just shoot you in the street.
Well, a naked man is chasing a woman through an alley with a butcher knife and a hard on. I figure he isn't out collecting for the Red Cross.
And another thing that I like about him is the anti-hero role. Clint Eastwood plays the anti-hero like nobody. He's the best actor to play an anti-hero. Because the thing about Dirty Harry is he's doing the right thing. He's doing the right thing by upholding the law and trying to protect people, but how he's achieving those results is morally questionable. And on top of that, the guy is very unlikable. He's an asshole. He's hard to get along with. He's kind of a bigot.
Harry hates everybody. Limeys, nicks, heaves, fat dagos, niggers, honkies, chinks, you name it.
If I was a cop, if I was partnered with this guy, well, we're not gonna get along. He's kind of an asshole.
How's he feel about Mexicans?
Especially Spicks.
But he gets the job done, and that's what I love about this movie. Great anti-hero stuff by Clint Eastwood. He's tough, rough around the edges, but he gets the job done, and he's a no-nonsense cop, where it's like that one scene with the mayor. My policy is if a guy's gonna do this, I'm gonna shoot him. That's that. No more red tape. I'm just gonna shoot him. And let's talk about our villain. Guys, the Scorpio in this movie. So in this movie, Dirty Harry, Harry Callahan, is up against the Scorpio killer, who's a sniper, who shoots people, and this dude is deranged. So not a lot of people really give credit to the actor who played the part of the Scorpio killer. This guy really is beyond terrifying. First of all, he visually looks like Chucky. I'm not gonna lie, like when I see him, that smile and that grin, he looks like Chucky from Child's Play, the good guy dolls. He's got a really unsettling laugh, a really creepy voice. He makes all these weird noises, and it just goes to show you the actor who played him knows how to play a deranged psycho. And not only is he really creepy, like the kind of guy you wouldn't want in the alleyway in the middle of the night seeing you, he's also a very smart guy. So think about it like this. There's a part in the movie where he sets up Harry, disarms him, and he beats the crap out of him. So this guy's very dangerous and formidable. He beats Harry and almost kills him. He beats him and he almost kills his partner. He manages to slip away. He does get injured in the process, but he manages to slip away, and Harry makes an illegal arrest on the guy. And while the guy is lying on the field, that stadium scene was phenomenal, by the way.
I said, where's the girl?
I have the right for a life.
Where's the girl?
He's lying on the field because Harry illegally entered the property in which he dwelled, and he illegally seized evidence, and he shot the guy. Like, the guy, hands up, he had already surrendered, and Harry shot him anyway. And I don't think the guy was actually panicking or like scared for his life. I think the dude was playing the part. He just kept saying, I want a lawyer. I have the right to a lawyer. I have the right to remain silent. And Harry's like, where's the girl? Where's the girl? And he's stepping on the dude's injury. He's taking his foot and ramming it into the gunshot wound. Torturing the dude, and the guy knows that was illegal and I'm gonna get away with it, and that's what ends up happening. And then when his guns are seized but they're inadmissible as evidence, how does he get a new gun? Well, he knows that there's a guy in the neighborhood who sells liquor. He gets robbed a lot and he has a gun. So what does he do? He fakes a conversation with a guy, beats him up, steals his gun, steals his ammo. He's armed again. That was pretty clever. That was really smart. A lot of the times movies don't show how the bad guy gets their weapons. I really liked that. And another thing, why is this guy so smart? He knows that Harry is a dirty cop. He knows that Harry is going to do morally questionable things to get the job done. So he's not going to follow the typical bureaucratic steps of like, okay, well, I need to search more. No, Harry's following the guy and he's like, I need to frame him. I need to get him in trouble. So what does he do? He hires someone to beat him up mercilessly. And then when he goes to the hospital, he gets the media involved and he says, Callahan did this to me. I'm in serious pain. They framed me for these murders and look what he did to me. Gets Harry in a lot of trouble. That's very, very smart. Very smart villain. And one scene that I really, really loved in this film was Callahan is at the district attorney's office and the guy says, you're lucky I'm not indicting you with with attempt to commit murder. And he's like, every bit of evidence that you seized is now inadmissible in court because you didn't get a warrant. And Harry is understandably pissed. He's like, I arrested this guy. We can prove the guy did it. And you're saying his rights are more important than the girl who he attacked? That's insane. Which every logical person can say, yes, that is insane. The law is crazy.
But it's inadmissible as evidence.
And who says that?
It's the law.
Well, then the law is crazy.
There is laws. The guy does have rights, but at what point do you just say her rights are more important than his rights because he violated her rights? Crazy. Loved that scene.
What I'm saying is that man had rights.
Well, I'm all broken up about that man's rights.
The action sequences in this movie were phenomenal. It has another great iconic quote where Harry has a gunfight and he thwarts a bank robbery, and the scene where he's like, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, did he fire 6 shots or only 5? And then the whole, you gotta ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? That was amazing. And then the ending battle between Scorpio and Callahan at that quarry was such a cool cat and mouse chase. And he gets to repeat that line and he kills Scorpio.
I know what you're thinking, punk. You're thinking, did he fire 6 shots or only 5?
That was amazing. Guys, Dirty Harry was such a good movie.
You gotta ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
And a strong entry, first entry into a very, very good series starring Clint Eastwood. Dirty Harry is phenomenal.
Well, you can just get yourself another delivery boy.
And number 1, guys, we have Magnum Force. Magnum Force is the second entry into the franchise, and it's a proper sequel. It's a very good sequel. The plot of this movie is Callahan is still an inspector. He's still doing his thing. However, there are now rookies who are a part of the San Francisco Police Department, and they formed a death squad, a vigilante squad of cops who take the law into their own hand and execute criminals. So, first of all, that plot is very interesting. The other Dirty Harry movies, I think they rely a lot on their action, and the plot kind of takes second. This movie has a lot of plot, A lot of really sharp dialogue, and the screenplay and the concept is pretty smart. Not only do I find the action in this movie to be stellar, we're going to talk about that later, but it's just an interesting movie. It is one of the few movies that has completely threw me for a loop. I am normally very quick. I can normally pick up on plot devices, or if there's going to be a twist ending, I can usually spot it coming from a mile away. This movie completely threw me for a loop, and the twist ending at the end, I didn't see coming at all. So basically what happens in this film is, like I said, there's a death squad of vigilante police officers, motorcycle traffic cops, who will kill people and execute people who got off from crimes on technicalities. And even though they're guilty and they deserve to be punished, they're able to slip through the cracks in the system, and these vigilantes will kill them. The thing that makes this movie tricky and confusing is the director, the way he directed this. A lot of the times you don't see the cop's face when he's about to kill these people. You don't really see that too much in the beginning. You just see silhouettes or a shot from behind or over the shoulder or close-ups when he's drawing his gun. And then you're introduced to a character who Harry's friends with, Charlie McCoy. He's also a motorcycle traffic cop, but he's got mental health issues. And it makes you think maybe this guy's the killer. But then there's a moment where they actually show the close-up of the face of one of the cops, and you're like, wait a minute, it's not Charlie McCoy. There's someone else. And then Charlie McCoy and him have that moment where they come in contact with each other, and they smile, and they're like, yeah, that's mine. And then he shoots Charlie, and like, whoa, holy crap, Charlie had nothing to do with this. These guys are... There's more than one, and there's a lot of them, and they have nothing to do with McCoy. And then you're like, who's the mastermind? And in the end, the mastermind is Lieutenant Briggs.
Your gun's out of its holster. First time?
Didn't see that coming. So like I said, the direction in this movie was really cool. The action was really, really phenomenal. It actually has one of my favorite shootouts of all time. The shootout at like the dockyard where one of the criminals, one of the mafia men who's in San Francisco, they try to raid one of his warehouses, and they get tipped off. And they get tipped off that the cops are coming, and then there's a pretty big shootout where they're inside this little warehouse shed looking thing, and they're shooting at the cops. The cops are taking cover behind their cars, and Harry's just blowing them away. Really cool stuff, really awesome gunplay, really love the sound quality of that gunfight. And again, what makes this movie brilliant is the main villain, Lieutenant Briggs. So Lieutenant Briggs he creates a lot of tension and pressure in this film, where he seems like he's the stereotypical supervisor of like, God damn it, your methods. I don't agree with your methods. The mayor's up my ass. The city won't stand for this. Callahan, you're on notice. He's always on Harry. They're always arguing. And it's like, dude, Harry's trying to do his job, and you're hampering him, and you're making it difficult for him. But not only that, like you're setting him up for failure. You're putting him in positions, and then you're getting him in trouble for things when he had to act. But it's all part of the show, because he knows Harry is going to eventually find out the truth, and he doesn't want these rookies of his, the Death Squad, the vigilantes, to get busted by Harry. So he's setting him up, but he's also having Harry do his dirty work, because those mafia men that he insisted were the criminals, he was like, I know Harry is going to kill these guys. I know they're going to be getting in a gunfight, and Harry's going to get the drop on him, so he's going to do my dirty work for me. So what does he do? He was the one who tipped off the bad guys that they were coming, because he knew if he tipped them off, they would start shooting at the cops, and if they start shooting at the cops, Harry's going to kill them. And then bam, vigilantism done by proxy of Harry, which was very smart, by the way. And then the scene where the cops realize that Harry's onto him, the way Harry actually uncovers the truth was very, very smart. When the cops realize he's onto them, they have a really intense, really intense stare down and confrontation in a parking garage, which I really liked. I thought that was really cool. Where they're like, Harry, you use violence all the time. You are ruthless, and you kill criminals who deserve it. You of all people should understand what we're doing. And Harry, he's like, I'm afraid you've misjudged me.
Either you're for us or you're against us.
I'm afraid you've misjudged me.
At that point, they realize, well, he uses violence, but we're willing to go where he won't go, which makes them very, very dangerous. If Harry's the kind of guy who will kill criminals on the street within the confines of the law, but he's not willing to break the law to that extent, that's how you know these guys mean business. So when he calls Lieutenant Briggs to his house, and then there's a bomb, and he's like, let's go to City Hall, and he pulls his gun out, whoa, twist ending, crazy. And that dialogue between the two, that was a really cool, sharp scene with the dialogue, really cool.
You know you're not going to City Hall, Callahan. The only way you're going anywhere is in a rubber bag.
Where Harry's like, listen, I think you guys have gone too far. I hate this system. This system doesn't work. But until someone comes along to change it, I'm gonna stick with it. And this is when Briggs is all like, he breaks the whole bureaucratic, the mayor's up my ass. He's like, you're a good cop, Harry, and you had a chance to join the team, but now you're about to become extinct. Just like your system. Which leads to a really awesome climactic showdown, because Briggs disarms Harry. He takes his Magnum.
Let me have your gun.
And then Harry beats him up and he drives away and a cop's chasing him and he crashes into him. But the other cops come after him. He still doesn't have a gun. But he runs into a shipbreaking yard where he climbs into an aircraft carrier that's decommissioned. And it's a little, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little weird and like uncomfortable seeing Harry without a weapon, disarmed. But the whole cat and mouse of him avoiding the cops inside the aircraft carrier, they're shooting at him, and then he beats a guy to death. Like, that was a pretty cool fight. Like, he gets the drop on a dude. And he literally karate chops a guy to death. Not exaggerating, Clint Eastwood is not a kung fu martial artist, but he karate chops a guy to death. That was pretty awesome. I didn't really like how Davis crashed his motorcycle. That was kind of anticlimactic. But then the final part where Briggs comes back, double climax, you think it's over. And he's like, hold it right there. And he's got a gun. And Harry's got the explosive and he activates the timer, puts it in the car. And Briggs is all like, with your record, I can make anything stick. I'm going to prosecute you. You just killed 3 police officers. It'll be my word against yours. No one will believe you. You're going to take the fall. And then Briggs blows up and Harry's like, man's got to know his limitations. That was pretty awesome. So I like Magnum Force the most because the action was really cool. I liked the finale. I really liked the concept. I really liked the plot. I really liked the villains. I love the sound quality. And I like at this point we're familiar with Harry. We know what he's capable of and we know what kind of cop he is, but we also know that there are boundaries that he's not willing to cross, and it leads to pretty awesome tension in the finale. So that's why I think Magnum Force is my favorite. It beats Dirty Harry by the skin of its teeth, but Magnum Force is still -- Well, guys, that's all I have for you. Those are the 5 Dirty Harry movies ranked from worst to best. Now, it's not to say that the movies at the bottom of the list are bad. They're not that great. They don't hold up. And it's very clear that there are better Dirty Harrys, significantly better Dirty Harrys than others. So that's all I have for you. Those are my personal rankings of the Dirty Harry movies. Guys, what did you think? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Well, comment below to let me know. Also, guys, what's your favorite Dirty Harry movie? You know what? What's your favorite Clint Eastwood movie? Comment below to let me know, because I'm considering doing my favorite Clint Eastwood movie list. Anyway, guys, that's gonna do it. Remember to like the video, subscribe. 1 like goes a long way and really, really helps me out. It's totally free. It costs you nothing to do so. So please help a brother out. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Also, guys, check me out on Instagram. That will be linked in the description below. I don't know, hand movement. That'll be linked in the description below. Give me a follow and I'll see you on the next Unpopular Opinion.